Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the One Soccer Nation podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Rae. Today, I'm joined by Jozy Altidore, former U.S. men's national team star, and now an active investor and operator across the global sports landscape. From his playing career across MLS in Europe to his current role as chief strategy officer and co-owner of Sogility, Jozy is now deeply involved in shaping how sports organizations are built and scaled. His investment portfolio spans multiple leagues and properties, including Bay FC, the Buffalo Bills, CLJP, Tomorrow Sports, and more recently, his involvement in OKC or Soccer, a United Soccer League Championship expansion project that reflects a new model of club ownership today. We'll explore his transition from player to investor, the strategy behind his investments, and how he's thinking about the future of soccer, especially as we approach the 2026 World Cup. Jozy, great to have you on. How you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we'll dive straight into it. Your career took you across multiple leagues and football cultures. Which specific experiences from your playing days most influenced how you now think about leadership, ownership, and long-term decision-making in the business of sports?
I would say all of them. I mean, I think in each place that I was able to play at, I took something from that area and try to apply it, whether it be to my life or, whether it be to me as a player. I think I was very lucky to play in some unique environments, some unique leagues and countries, and that all have different things that make them different. And so being able to live in those cultures for an extended period of time and also create new relationships in those areas, I think have served me really well, both in my career on the field and as I transition off the field.
Absolutely. Jozy, one of my favorite questions to usually ask is, so first one I ask, but I'll ask it now is, um, how did you get involved in the beautiful game?
Yeah, so it was for me a big pioneer for soccer for me was my dad. So my dad is from Haiti. Haiti, the Caribbean island, soccer is one of the mainstay sports in Haiti. And you see that now with the excitement of Haiti qualifying for a World Cup. But my dad put us all in soccer. So my brother played, my two sisters played. He wanted us to play as soon as we can walk. And he also taped the 94 World Cup on VHS. And then, as I got older, we would watch the games, and that's how I got exposed to the game at an early age. And that's where my dream came from of wanting to participate in the World Cup. It all stemmed from my parents, from my dad in particular.
Nice. Did he play growing up as well?
Yeah, he played. He loved to play. He always talked about he was a great goalie. There remains to be seen. There's no footage, but I believe my dad loved the game. Like we were always talking about it. And so, that's something that we'll always share together.
Nice. Very nice. You were an early investor in Bay FC. What made you confident in the long-term trajectory of women's soccer, and how do you evaluate opportunities in emerging leagues versus more established ones?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, I think we're all, still always trying to figure out kind of, the markets and kind of what's the best place to be in and at what time. It's difficult to predict. For me, what I try to lean on is things that are disruptive. Right. I look for things that can potentially be disruptive, that have a good cap table, a good team that's involved. Because I think any and every investment, the ideas are great, but the people are behind it are even more important because you want a team that's able to execute, right? And so for me, that stood out a lot, especially in women's sports. I think there's a ton of people behind the scenes that can make it work, but is it disruptive? And it absolutely is. So those are just a couple of things I look for, but I think, they've served me well. Obviously you have investments where those things seem apparent and it doesn't go well, which is, part of diversifying your portfolio and make sure that you can cover those with other opportunities. I haven't mastered it. Nobody has, I don't think, unless you're, Berkshire Hathaway or one of these, massive companies. But what I really what I really do love is the amount of relationships, the amount of people I get to meet, and the things I get to learn during this process.
Yeah, 100%. Your investment portfolio spans multiple properties across sports. What is the common thread in your investment philosophy, and how do you identify assets that can scale in value over time?
Well, I'm not going to lie, I'm a dreamer. So I do love some venture opportunities. And I think some of the opportunities that I've invested in, when you look at Bay FC, it is a bit of dreaming big. As much as it's disruptive, it's kind of a startup too, right? Obviously, you're going into an established league, but the team itself is a startup, building the community, building the crest, picking the colors, right? Deciding how you're going to play. You're starting something that hopefully lives on 50 to 100 years. There's also that challenging aspect. And so, I just try to take it in stride with everything that I'm doing. but make sure that I have good people around me, because I think that's important too. Having people you can learn from who have kind of been through it before, and that can kind of mentor you as you progress from level to level.
Absolutely. More recently, you've joined the ownership group behind OKC for Soccer. What specifically attracted you to that project? And how do you evaluate a city like Oklahoma City as a viable long-term soccer market?
Yeah, when I look at Oklahoma and I look at just like the sports landscape, I just saw a ton of opportunity. I mean, obviously you have the football team, right? That is, it's a football town. They do a great job, but within that college, I don't think they have a soccer team, right? And so I thought that was a cool opportunity. And then when you look at Oklahoma, they have the energy. They hadn't been there since 2022. Oklahoma City is a vibrant, diverse place to be. And so having the opportunity to kind of go in there and build up soccer all over again, to me, was too good to pass up. When I looked at the diversity metrics of the amount of, African American, Hispanic, even some European, there's some European mix in there. That's a soccer mix. And so those are also things I think that are key to look for, depending on where you want to go and put a soccer team. You want to make sure that there's a community that will take it in. And so, my belief with Oklahoma is that there's a community that's yearning for a team that's run the right way, a team that provides opportunity to players in their community, and a team that wants to win. Quite frankly, with the Thunder in town, they have a winner now, so we have to make sure that we're an additive to that, and we also can bring trophies to Oklahoma.
Yeah. I think from what I've seen, what I'm hearing, it's what OKC for Soccer is one of the top projects in USL Championship, especially in regards to the mixed use development opportunity at scale.
Yes.
Obviously, soccer being the anchor, and then I remember just listening to Court Jetski. Hopefully, we have him on the podcast soon. Former United Soccer League um, individual key to the USL, a part of this project now. Talk about the importance of the programming 365 days. So I mean, like this is going to be a massive project for USL and what you guys have going on. So super exciting. And then the star power being added from yourself and then Wessel Rustbook is super exciting as well to see that come together and soon come to life. And then the renderings were released so that, I mean, the stadium looks amazing. But the question I want to ask you is like, we're both soccer guys. So like, what are your thoughts on USL pushing the ball forward for Pro Rel? I mean, like that's a big topic, saying 2028. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think change is good. I think, when you push people to kind of leave their comfort zone, that's, I think, where diamonds are formed in a lot of ways. So, I think there will be some learning curves, 100%, some growing pains in the process. But I think eventually, and we see with MLS switching to calendars, right? Slowly, we have to get our pyramid here in North America more aligned with what they're doing in the rest of the world. And when I say more aligned, I don't mean replicate completely, right? I think pro rel is an opportunity for USL to kind of see, how it takes shape, how owners, react to the different windfalls and the different challenges that they'll face with promotion relegation, but as well the opportunity that it will provide to teams that maybe have smaller budgets, but have good football practices and have good development practices to give them an opportunity to compete at the highest level. So, I'm all for competition. I think it'll be exciting, but I do think there'll be some growing pains and some learning lessons. But I think that's normal whenever you're taking big swings and trying different things.
Yeah. Last question before we dive into Sogility. When you look at USL Championship expansion like OKC, what are the key drivers of value from your perspective, whether that's stadium development, community integration, media, or something else?
Yeah, I think in something like this, I mean, obviously you have the soccer aspect, which is very exciting, but at the end of the day, it's a business and there needs to be opportunity to create revenue. The mixed use project, the entertainment district, I think can be a huge, wonderful part to play on this. One, in obviously providing revenue. Two, offering fans and people in the community, more than just obviously what the team will provide, right? The idea is to build a district where we bring people together. So, and hopefully by doing that, we'll create new fans as well, because there'll be a lot of people that will just kind of be like, "Hey, what's going on? What is this?" And we have to be okay with that in the United States, because the game is still very young here, and we still have to do our job in educating fans and making sure that they know that what we're doing is for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's when I started learning about the U.S. market and where soccer was at. It caught me off guard because again,
Yeah.
Canadian born. But yeah, no, I think the World Cup's going to have a huge impact on it, and it's going to be exciting to see. You're now deeply involved in Sogility, focused on player development. how do you see companies like Sogility connecting with club ownership projects like OKC? And do you view this as part of a larger ecosystem strategy?
Absolutely. Part of, that you mentioned a number of things that I'm involved in, and I've been very lucky. But for me, the biggest thing is how can I affect the game at a grassroots level? And for me, Sogility gives us the opportunity to create an ecosystem where we're able to track player progress, give kids an objective way to see that they're improving, but also gamify the game. I'm a big believer in having fun at every level and understanding that not all kids that come through our youth systems are going to go pro. So what other skills are we teaching them? What other avenues are there to keep them involved in the game? Because at the end of the day, they're all fans of the game. Whether they make it to the professional level or not, they want to have a place. And so I feel like Sogility with the brick and mortar, with the locations and our need for top quality coaches, PTs, GMs provides people that opportunity. And then when you look at our tech, it really provides us now a chance to build an ecosystem, to get data on players from a young age and help them now progress and help them improve in areas that, again, there's no more guessing, whether it's your right foot, your left foot, your agility. We're able to track all of that and hopefully give parents and kids now an opportunity to have a full view of what they need to do as young players to improve, but also a different way for them to create community and stay connected to others that are involved in the game.
Yeah. One big key takeaway that I'm taking away right now is allow the kids to have fun and enjoy the beautiful game. With the 2026 World Cup approaching, how are you thinking about timing across your investments, whether it's OKC, Sagility, or your broader portfolio to capitalize on that momentum?
Yeah, the big one for me here is Sogility and continuing to open new locations in a controlled manner, but also, being able as we're going to see a large amount of registrations, of large amount of parents inquiring and wanting to get involved in what the boom that will be post World Cup. We wanted to make sure that we're part of that conversation, we're part of that boom, and that's why we've been aggressive in opening new locations, but also trying to get Sogility going in as many communities as possible.
I mean, what number are you guys at currently in regards to the amount of locations that you guys have? And then what's the goal for the next, let's say we're in 26 or the next 4 years to 2030?
Yeah, so currently we have 6 locations up right now. The plan is to have 11 by the end of the year, with locations opening in Oklahoma and Virginia, in Toledo, and here in we're not here, but in South Florida, in Naples. So that's kind of our runway for the end of the year. So we're really excited about these opportunities. And hopefully we're able to continue to grow and get to 20, 30, 40, even 50 locations. Again, as long as we're growing in a controlled way and, the community we're creating is happy with us, obviously. We want to be doing something. We want to be a business and a culture that people can attract to and see themselves in.
Yeah. Naples is one of my favorite cities. I truly love Naples. Um, your role as chief strategy officer and co-owner of Sagility is a major chapter in your post-playing career. What was the moment you realized the U.S. youth development space needed a new kind of training ecosystem, and how does Sagility fill that gap?
Yeah, it was interesting. Over the last few years of my playing career, I noticed the uptick in parents wanting to get their kids, additional training, additional opportunities to get touches on the ball, additional opportunities to work on something that maybe they're not working on in team training. And that's where I saw a real opportunity for Sogility, right? To come in and you tick the box of parents kind of having that opportunity to do something where they can monitor their kids, their progress, but also give them a way to, train at home to improve themselves. Our boards are so multifaceted that you can train in your basement, you can train outside, you can train in the street. And so there is now no longer an excuse, I feel like, for parents and for players to not kind of do these little extra work, do these little extra sessions away from team training, whether it be us at Sogility or just having that urge and that wherewithal to want to find more and better themselves as players. But that's what we hope Sogility can be, especially with our proprietary technology with the rebound boards. We want to give kids the opportunity to literally play anywhere at any time and improve. And the data tells us that with our boards and with the virtual coach and the curriculum that we provide, you can tangibly do that in your own time away from your team and then be able to show off that progress when you return to your team training.
Understood. The model sounds COVID proof per se.
Yeah, we would have been awesome during COVID. You're absolutely right. Hopefully that doesn't happen again in terms of us being housed for so long. But if you're ever at home and you have that opportunity, I think we're going to be one of the best that there is out there to give you that platform.
Nice. Um, Diving into the technology side, as you mentioned a few times already, Sogility Go is introducing mobile, technology-driven training to players everywhere. How do you see technology reshaping the way young American players train, especially in underserved or overlooked communities?
Yeah, and that's where I think there's a ton of opportunity. With Sogility, we house all the data that the players kind of are able to give during their sessions, whenever they're running through the sessions with the Sogility Go, or even at one of the brick and mortar locations. We're going to be able to take that data now, plug it in, and be able to basically virtually coach the player, give them ways after they complete an assessment, give them a workout plan and ways that they can train where they have deficiencies. And so think about now the way we're using data. And then now you think about what you just said, the kids all over the United States that we haven't even reached yet. I think data and being able to giving kids a platform where they can upload kind of their statistics and kind of what they're doing, and creating now a system where we're able to see kind of which data points are important to identifying whether a player is somebody that has the opportunity to be brought in and given an opportunity, right? Like, what data points can you look at in a person individually training that can point out to you, hey, this player can make a good right back, or hey, this player has the right technique and vision to be a good number six. So, we're in our nascent stage of doing this, but that's where I feel like this can go, in creating opportunities for kids that could never, maybe make it to a tryout or make it to an MLS Next Pro or USL Academy.
Absolutely. Um, I know you guys are focused on the US right now, but is Canada in the picture as well? It's just a question for
Absolutely.
the
Yeah, man, absolutely. Toronto is my love, in so many ways. Like, I was so lucky to go there at the time that I did and meet so many great people that helped me both in business and on the field. So Toronto's definitely a place we're looking to expand. And hopefully, in the next few months, we'll have some news there.
Absolutely. Hey, if you guys need points, I'm here. Um,
Nice.
as you continue building across ownership, technology, and development, what is the long-term vision you're working toward? Are you aiming to build a connected ecosystem of assets or something more focused around impact and access?
Definitely would love to build something connected. That's definitely from the business side, but from the personal side, I think for me it was important to, I'm a competitive guy, man. And the way I was as a player was, I didn't want to be one dimensional. I didn't want to be a striker that was only good at one thing. I wanted to be able to do a lot of things extremely well and display that when I had the opportunity. And it could be arguable whether I did that or not, but I take the same type of approach to the business world. I want to make sure that I'm able to be multifaceted, under control. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but I want to make sure that I'm able to take my learnings as a player and my learnings, in school, and apply them now in the business world. Because I really believe, in now the past 4 or 5 years, what makes athletes special is what we're able to learn and kind of get drilled in our minds as young players, as young athletes. And that competitiveness, that discipline, I think is what gives us an X factor in the business world.
Absolutely. To dive in to just some fun questions, what would you say was your favorite moment in your career throughout the years that you've played soccer?
Oh, that's really hard, man. One moment is really hard. My first goal sticks out. Obviously scoring goals against, people, that people see that are bigger than life itself in terms of players, being able to play against the very best and have success. That was cool. But to be honest, the people that I've gotten to meet along the way, you don't know how different people will impact you. And I've been lucky to spend time and meet some great people. And I have those relationships until today. And I think that has been my secret superpower, and staying connected to those people, and, just having, good friends, to be honest. And I think that's pretty cool. A lot of these guys I played with 10, 15 years ago, but they still remain friends today.
Advice would you give to the next generation of soccer players up and coming, the young athletes that want to go pro?
Oof. I feel like it's changed so much, man. The landscape and, you know, opportunities are more are more widespread, which is a good thing. I would say to continue to have fun. I think right now in the youth game, we can see kids and parents get lost in the chase for more or the chase for something bigger. I think just having fun and really having a good attitude, having discipline about your training, I think is important as well. And, if I could say something soccer focused, it would be to train your technique. Your technique is what's going to unlock everything as a player, in my opinion. Your technique, your awareness, your vision, the small, not as flashy aspects of the game are the ones that keep you in the game a long time. And stretching is important. I know it may sound silly, but 5 or 6 minutes before training, 5 or 6 minutes after training can go a long way in your injury prevention and giving you that longevity.
Yeah. Great advice, Josie. Last two on my side before we close off. So, um, not a lot of players that transition out of a professional career have a successful post career. What advice would you give there to pro athletes retiring from sport and transitioning into the other side?
This may be a weird one, but I haven't said this one, but I would say take care of your family, take care of your parents, because, while you're playing your career, they're kind of, holding and pulling the weight in the real world, as I would say, because, you live in this bubble as a player. And so I'm just so grateful that I have such a great family and that I brought them along, every step of the way, because now they've been the best help you can imagine in helping me transition and helping me kind of settle into what is a new life when you're an athlete for so long. So take care of your family, save, but take care of your family, take care of your parents, your sisters and brothers, because they mean everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, great advice. Last fun one. Last year we had the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. This year we have the 2026 World Cup, the big one. 2028, we got the Olympics in LA. 2031, we have potentially the Women's World Cup in the US. So kind of a two-in-one question here. Who do you want to see uh, in the semifinals of the 2026 World Cup? And how far do you think the US will go?
Man, that is a tough one. I don't know what the brackets look like, so apologize if I choose two teams from the same side of the bracket, but I would love to see USA against Argentina in one semifinal. And the reason why I say Argentina is because Messi, right? I think it's a great full circle moment to have him playing in the US, him have had success in the US, and then come against the US in the semifinal. I think that'd be unbelievable. And then on the other side, I would love to see um, I think I'd love to see Haiti, Brazil. I think Haiti, Brazil is as good as you can get to a final for the Haitians. I mean, I know we're going to play them in the group stage, but having them play in the semifinal to get to a final, what that would mean to Haitian people to not only play Brazil in a knockout stage game, but then be able to beat them on the way to the final could be something amazing.
Absolutely. Well, Josie, congratulations to you for all your success and the work that you're doing, and thank you for sharing your journey and perspective with us. What stands out is not just the transition from player to investor, but the intentional way you're building across multiple layers of the sports ecosystem, from ownership to development to technology. For those listening, this conversation offers a real look into how modern sports assets are being structured and where the next wave of opportunity is forming, especially as we approach the 2026 World Cup. If you'd like to learn more about Josie's work and the projects he's involved in, all relevant links will be included in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in into the One Soccer Nation podcast. Until next time, let's keep growing the beautiful game. Thank you, Josie.
Thank you, man.